getting access to operating rooms that just don't exist, even though the physicians are ready to do the operations. And so you limit the cost by just limiting access. But you don't bloody well limit the cost.
No.
You just make it impossible for people ever to pay enough to actually get cured.
Yeah.
And this is a very pervasive problem in the Canadian healthcare establishment.
Absolutely.
It's not some little trivial problem.
There's much better systems around the world. I visited, for example, Sweden a few years ago. In Sweden, you can have a private hospital next to a public hospital, and if the public hospital cannot provide you the services that you need within a reasonable delays, you can cross over, go to the private facility, and the government's going to pay for it, which makes more sense. Or even if there's no matter what the delays are, if the private sector can do it for cheaper than the public sector, you can go directly to the private sector. So why don't we have those systems? You know, Europe has much more efficient systems than we have right now in Canada. But for some odd reasons, we think that our system is the best of the world, but it's not at all. And we saw it with the pandemic. We saw how fast the system cracked down and how we weren't able to provide services that people were paying for.
Well, and one of the consequences of that too, and this is partly because the government dominated the healthcare industry, is that, well, we can't actually cope with this influx of sick people because our system is dreadfully inefficient. So what will we do instead? Because we can't actually offer medical services, we'll say, well, how about you don't get to go outside? Because that looks like something to do, and it looks like action on the part of the bureaucrats. Or how about you can't travel in your own country?
That's it.
And so the degeneration and lack of utility of the public healthcare system was an indirect contributor to the authoritarian crackdown at the federal and provincial levels.
Absolutely.
And so, have you toyed at all with the idea of, because I'm always interested in the issue of experimentation, if you were going to transform the healthcare system in Quebec by allowing for private competition and diversification of healthcare provision, would you be able to, do you have a vision of how you might do that in a manner that would be technically experimental, so that you could build toy projects and evaluate their utility with some half-decent set of metrics before scaling it up?
Absolutely. We'll start in larger cities, obviously, because for all sorts of reasons, it makes more sense because the competition is going to be easier to do. It looks very stupid. It's a small change, but it could be it could have a huge impact. Currently, our hospitals, the way they're funded is that they have fixed budgets year after year, and with a few percentage increase from one year to the other, no matter how many patients they're receiving every year. We want just to make sure that the money follows the patient. So at least the institution has an interest of bringing you in and providing you services, instead of like currently, the less people come in and the better it is, more profitable they are. So we want just to reverse the way the state funds the system. We're not going to have fixed budgets for hospitals with a small increase every year. We're going to fund every intervention they're doing, and as more patients they have, more money they will get. So at least they're going to have an incentive, even as public institutions, to attract people and provide better services and make sure that patients are like clients, and they want to make sure that they're satisfied when they get out of the hospital, so next time they come to their facility instead of the one next door. And so it's very small things that could be done to send a free market economy message that will improve the system.